good?
You broke up there. I don't know what you said.
I said, what's good?
There you go. That works. How's it going, everybody? We back live.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, recording that episode was a trip this past weekend. We actually got some good content on the backside of it too that I saved. So how's it going, RMP Faithful? How's it going, Queen? Rocky Steinmetz, thank you for the kind words, by the way. Canadian Jet, Twister Chaser 91, Just Your Average Jen. Yay, an RMP, becoming an RMP supporter at the top here.
He is the supporter, right?
He is. He's the man. How are we all doing tonight? Coastal, how are we doing?
Coastal's good. Coastal's very good. Ready to talk about some Charged, and we had some interesting things happen on this episode.
Very much so. Miss Plinta, how's it going? Hopefully you can maintain your power for the entire show this time.
I'm hoping. Let's hope nobody hits any poles or anything while they're out and about.
All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Dudes and Belts Recharge Post Show here on not Twitch. Wow, we're done with Twitch. Here on YouTube, I am your host, Johnny Deathdrop, and yeah, like Coastal said, we have another killer charge to talk about that just happened about 15 minutes ago. Before we get into everything, let's introduce the panel, and by panel, the only dude here, he is the one that lives way up there on the east coast of Maine, the inventor of the Beacon of the Week, the one and only Coastal Crusader.
What is going on, everybody? It was another crazy night at the Wimmer. We saw Sin Bodhi in the ring with two very scary men at a very scary point. Then he was all by himself. That was quite interesting. And the ending, again, all these charges end with a certain individual being very creepy in various places.
And you ain't kidding, by various places. He's been
Yeah.
everywhere. Even parts unknown.
Apparently.
All right. No Lucas tonight. We don't know where Lucas is. We haven't heard from Lucas. So as far as I know, he's still dealing with mental stuff that happened. Obviously,
We hope you're well, bud.
he just came back about a week and a half ago. Found his way back to the Wimmer, escaping Drake once again. So he's kind of down for the count mentally. So hopefully he's doing okay, and hopefully we might see him back in a future episode. Well, let's not waste any more time here, Cole. So let's get right down to the nitty gritty here. We got we got a huge charge to talk about. Actually, technically, it's a supercharge part 1. So a lot of action happened tonight, and it starts off with Rachel Armstrong going one-on-one with Lilith.
Yeah, this was kind of a statement match for Lilith. She comes right out, and she didn't waste any time either getting started. I mean, there was some offense in here from Brooke, but not a whole lot. This is really Lilith just showing why she's the Warhammer. She's focused, and she picks up a big win with the big, powerful win with the Warhammer, the Burning Hammer here. Let's talk about after the match. This was very interesting because here's somebody that really didn't have a relationship with Lilith other than facing her a couple times, and the Asylum has decided that just because she was in the ring with Lilith, she needed to be made an example of. This is getting to be a weekly occurrence. This is getting to be whenever you step foot in the ring with Lilith, you have to look over your shoulder as well, because the Asylum is there and they're taking you on because you're trying to further your career by beating one of the best Lockettes in the locker room right now. Johnny, Noelle hit this girl with a tire iron multiple times. What has Salem told Noelle and JC to have them this aggressive at people that really haven't done anything to them other than being associated with Lilith Grimm?
In their eyes, if you're associated with Lilith Grimm, you are associated with an enemy of theirs, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that Lilith Grimm is isolated and all alone. I think that's the whole point of this. Did they have to go to the extent that they went? Obviously not. But, again, this puts Lilith Grimm, because as you heard later on in the show, Brittany Brooke got taken to the emergency facility for more evaluations. So once again, Lilith Grimm has been isolated by herself. And as of right now, she's Pickens to the asylum. Again.
And there's not going to be many people coming to her aid if this is what happens whenever you are in the same vicinity or talk to Lilith.
It's not looking good.
No.
But we all know Lilith. She's one hell of a fighter. And I can guarantee you there will be hell to pay at some point down the road for the asylum. She just might have to do this by herself. She just might have to find a way to outsmart them some way, somehow. Because right now, not only is the asylum one step ahead of her in terms of the mental game, but they're taking out everybody that Lilith has been around to try and help her in this situation against the asylum. So, as far as I know, I mean, I don't see anybody else that could even help Lilith at this point. Is there anybody in the back that even has the cojones to be with Lilith and help her out after everything that's happened over the past couple months?
Not that I can see that isn't already involved in something of their own accord. You look at Malaya and Skylar Slice right now, they're facing off with each other for different reasons. You know, everybody in the asylum is already concerned with Lilith, and everybody who's been helping out Lilith has gotten beat down. So the line is short.
Very short. It's going to take a special somebody. That's for sure. And we also have Lilith Grimm in chat, as a matter of fact, and her last statement was, "I won't ever let them hurt the RMP faithful." Your thoughts?
I mean, that who knows that somebody's like, are they going to take out the whole crowd because we're behind Lilith? I wouldn't put it past Salem. He's got some interesting ways to get to people, and right now he's looking at every possible way he can get to Lilith.
And what a turnaround for Noelle, too.
I know, right? Those were some tire iron shots tonight.
Well, she made her bed. She might have to lie in it, especially if Lilith ever gets her hands on her. But moving on here, that's going to be an ongoing situation, I think, all the way through Milestone. I have a funny feeling that that's nowhere close to being done.
No, I agree.
But we have the law office here in a segment with Preston and Lola the Adventurer here. I won't say any more because I want you to describe this, because I know you have very deep feelings with the law office in general. So
I understand that, but I actually am very interested on your view of this. We don't hear from you very often in regards to Preston and the law office, so I'll let you take this one to start.
Oh, you're so kind. So the way I look at it here, all right, Preston is going digging, and he's been digging with Lola for a while here in the rule book of Rocky Mountain Pro. From what I understand, he's got a whole bunch of evidence stored up to present to Dean. And I guess they're going to have this meeting this upcoming week, probably on Supercharge Part 2. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Dean's decision impacts Lola's future, because as we saw last week, Dean kind of showed a little bit of softness towards Preston and JK Pop. As we saw in the main event tonight, they ended up getting a rematch, which by the rules of Rocky Mountain Pro, you're not supposed to have a rematch for any titles in Rocky Mountain Pro. You have to work your way back from the bottom all the way back up, and you have to earn your number one contendership spot. I'm very curious to see how Dean is going to approach the Lola situation. There is a gripe with Lola. There's no two ways about it. However, she did have that Lockett's title match, regardless if it was one-on-one or a triple threat match. Those rules technically apply as well. Your
I
thoughts?
I agree, but here's what I think. I think that the main event tonight that JK Pop and Preston begged for is actually going to hurt Lola in the long run. I think that Preston used up all of his grace with Dean, and I think if he asks for another meeting and interrupts Dean again and continues to beg, I think Dean this time is going to shut him down. I don't think Lola, unfortunately, has too much confidence with Preston going in there right now. I think she ought to go in and argue with Dean. She ought to go in and have a discussion with Dean
I wouldn't be
rather than Preston.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the whole point.
I'm
Be,
hoping it is because I'm pretty sure that Dean is not going to listen to Preston anymore. He's used up all of his chances.
oh, he used it up back in the beginning when Preston first debuted with JK Pop. Remember the whole full sentence situation?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how it all started. I know Dean's had enough of Preston.
Haven't we all?
This is a different situation. There is a gripe, like with JK Pop. They pushed their way into a rematch. They begged basically. Lola, on the other hand, I don't really hear a lot of complaining from Lola. It seems like Lola's found somebody in Sky Hossman in the law office to really kind of grasp and just kind of be around, I guess you could say. I wonder what Caden thinks about that, first off. And second of all, your opinion and your prediction on this outcome, do you honestly think that Dean could possibly go in Preston's way again for the second time in a row in 3 weeks?
If he does, it is the absolute last time. And I think Preston is putting not only his status as a high-end manager lawyer on the line here, because if he gets this and Lola doesn't get it done, that's pretty much it for Preston. He doesn't have any more legs to stand on. The paperwork isn't going to help him anymore. This is something he needs to have cashed in. If Dean does give Lola this match, it is very important, not only for Lola, but it is important for the law office and Preston especially. Things did not go well tonight, as we saw in the main event.
No. And hopefully that puts the kibosh on everything. That sends JK Pop back down to the bottom. And they can still earn their shot. They just got to do it the normal way. They got to work their way up and actually win some matches. Just like YSL is currently right now. And YSL right now currently has a better shot than JK Pop at the moment. In terms of the overall standings of your tag team division, YSL is near the top, and I think on the cusp of possibly getting that number one contendership spot. However, there is a match scheduled for the tag team champions, I believe, at Peak of the Pack, and that would be the Gino Rivera, and what is his name? I forgot his name already. He's new.
Well, it was originally supposed to be
Brett Buff
Nathan
Shea.
Estrada.
Brett Buff Shea, I think.
Right, but it was supposed to be Nathan Estrada.
It was, yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens next week with Dean and Preston. We'll see what happens with Lola, whether or not she ends up getting a shot at the Lockettes Championship. However, if she does, I would probably wait until JC doesn't have the Lockettes Championship, because I don't know if Lola wants to step in with the Asylum right now.
Yeah, I don't think the law office will help her much in that one.
All right. Moving on, and I think we all kind of expected this, right? Yane and Damon having their little one-on-one confrontation again. And Yaden trying to squash all the beef between him and Damon, trying to have them move on and get focused on other things in Rocky Mountain Pro. Damon possibly focusing on David Drake or Remy D or whoever. And Yaden continuing to defend the NRW championship with somebody else who deserves it. That wasn't the case tonight, as we saw.
We thought it was for about a minute and a half. And then, Damon decides to headbutt literally just absolutely obliterate his forehead against Yaden's forehead. And I mean, you can see it throughout this brawl they have. Damon keeps shaking his head because I'm pretty sure that he underestimated the thickness of Yaden's head. Yaden's a stubborn dude. He is going to continue to focus on you if you don't let him be. And he will get it done, as we've seen. And Damon did say as he's walking off, this is over when I say it's over. It's not going well for you right now, Damon. Maybe Yaden shouldn't be the focus for you right now. Maybe take a break. Maybe go focus on Remy or even David Drake. Yaden right now, from what I've seen, you two are just goats headbutting each other. Because even tonight, there really wasn't a winner in this little brawl.
No, there wasn't. Although Damon walked out. And so I would give the nod to Damon in this aspect. But we're not keeping track here. Case in point, this is still a situation between Damon and Mercury Yaden. And I don't know how this is going to end, where it's going to end, or how it's going to end. But in the grand scheme of everything, these two once again are set for another collision course somewhere down the line. I just don't know how and when. What is it going to take? When is Damon going to be satisfied? Is he going to be satisfied when he actually captures the NRW championship? Or does he not care about that belt and just has it out with Mercury Yaden to just beat him and to be the guy?
I think that's more the case than the title. It's to be the guy. I think that
because right now, the only reason why I say that is because right now, technically, the guy is David Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, but he's the guy.
Damon has always had this chip on his shoulder with Yaden going through the Mercury Pro Wrestling Academy, the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, and being trained by Yaden. He always sees everyone look up to Yaden. And Damon doesn't feel that level of respect. I think the only way this ends is either Damon beats Yaden or just he can't physically go after Yaden anymore. Yaden will have to put him down. And I don't know if either one of those are ever going to happen. They might fight forever.
Well, look at what happened. You wonder why people respect Yaden. Look at what he's done to Rocky Mountain Pro, specifically over the past year and a half, almost 2 years. He turned this company into one of the fastest growing products on the internet right now.
Absolutely.
At least nationwide, if not worldwide. So there's a lot of respect there. And I know a lot of the roster respects the ever-living hell out of him. I respect the living hell out of him. I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely. But for Damon, for him, it's about respect or lack thereof. He feels that he is a better in-ring performer than Yaden, but he doesn't feel everybody looks at him that way. And that's what this is about for him. It's about him feeling respect from people. Even though a lot of people respect Damon, he just doesn't seem to see it.
Or maybe he's blinded.
Could be.
And maybe he's just in his own head. I don't know. This feud has gotten so personal. I mean, family members have been dropped during this whole entire thing too. Like it's not even about the belt. It's not even about the sport of professional wrestling. This has gone like way, way deep into the personal department.
Yeah.
And this might be a never-ending feud, man. I don't know. They've gone through hell and back already. You saw the first couple matches that they had. I mean, what else can they do?
They fought in rings of chains and still nothing. It's still not accomplished. I don't know what else you can do aside from... They don't have buried alive matches, but that could be one.
Oh, I'm sure David Drake can make something up for them. I'm sure.
That's just a Thursday night for David Drake.
Basically. All right. We are all going to watch that situation unfold at some point. Obviously, that feud is not done by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, Damon just put more fuel to the fire. And it's burning more than ever right now. So Moving on, Manny Lemons versus Cash Flow with a different stipulation, as in Malia Hosaka and Skylar Slice being tied up by a chain on the outside of the ring. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I was very skeptical on this whole match from the get-go.
Well, as the wonderful Remy D said on commentary, Margaret Grapefruits seemed to immediately regret this decision. The few times that he got chopped by Cash Flow, I think his soul left his body, came back, and left again. This was about Cash Flow taking his pound of flesh and just beating on Manny Lemons. Manny gets a little offense in, but there isn't much. He spends most of his time trying to escape. And if I was in the ring with a very angry Cash Flow, that's what I would be doing too. Because, like I said, the man hits you like a dump truck hitting you in the chest. It's all power. And Manny does the only thing that he can think of in this whole match, which is what he's done in the past. Call to the outside for help. He ends up getting the chain, and he ends up hitting Cash with the chain. We get a DQ here. I never thought this match was going to end clean. I really didn't. I figured Manny, as he did, would find a way either out of it or either a way to make it stop. And that is exactly what's happened. He found a way to cheat. He found a way to get one over. Johnny, this is not over by a long shot, this Manny and Cash Flow thing. And with the two women on the outside, this isn't over either. Malaya Hosaka holds a grudge. We know that from the past. And she is looking to beat the Dr. Pepper out of Skylar Slice.
Well, I think we saw this coming. I don't think Manny really stands a chance against Cash Flow at this point in time. Manny has found ways to escape defeat on multiple occasions.
He's found ways to survive.
Very much so, because there's a good chance that Cash Flow would have had his way with him easily. Manny's lucky he didn't get chopped once in this match.
I know.
Put it that way. Malaya and Skylar, I'm sure we're going to see them butt heads again.
I wouldn't be surprised to see these four butt heads together in a ring.
Oh, well, next week you will. Next week.
I know, but even before that parking lot, I don't think it's going to be the only time. This is a grudge that is just, it's gone past normalcy now, and now it is just, again, we're getting a lot of blood feuds here in Rocky Mountain Pro, and it is the season because we all know milestone season is approaching.
And approaching fast, too. We're less than a month away from Peak of the Pack, which is the beginning. So, but yeah, next week you will have Manny Lemons and Skylar Slice going up against Cash Flow and Malaya Hosaka in a mixed tag team match, I believe. So
on a very, very big episode, we got title matches next week. And
we'll get into all that. That's going to be a very good episode. You're not going to want to miss next Tuesday's charge. That's for sure. Speaking of Rocky Mountain Pro Championships, my friend, we had an in-ring segment with Sledge calling Sim Bodie out.
Yeah, he says that while he is concerned with David Drake, the only thing he's concerned about right now is the clown backstage. Now, we all know how I feel. I would want to be as far away from that clown as possible. Well, I'm sure Sin is a very nice person, happy and I get along now. I wouldn't be calling the circus out for just any old thing, but you know what? You ask and you shall receive, and Mr. Sin Bodie comes out, and they are having quite the little stare down until our favorite psychopath decides to make his presence known. First with the music, then the lights go out. And then we see David Drake in the ring. And he's got Sledge all chained up. And he's getting ready to hit him with a pipe. And then Sin Bodie steps in, saves Sledge, honestly, which was surprising. But, he decides, no, this is our fight. What are you doing here? And Sin Bodie not scared of David Drake. I give that clown credit. He looked him dead in the eye like, you don't scare me. And that may be the first person other than Sledge really to look him in the eye and not show any fear. Lights go out again, and it's like a magic trick. Sin Bodie is impressed with the magic trick because when they come back up, he's the only one left. Poof! Sledge and Drake disappeared like a fart in the wind. And I'm a little concerned about where Sledge is right now.
What I am concerned about this whole thing, and we just touched on this a few segments ago, We talked about our president, Danger Dean, being soft around Preston. Looks like he went soft again because now Sledge has a rematch for the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. And
There's being
again,
soft, but there's also like these things weren't really settled. You gotta have some semblance of finalization, and we didn't get that. I still feel like there's unfinished business, and I don't know what finishes
do I
this.
dare bring up Gaten versus Damon 1? You know what I'm
True.
saying? You know what I'm saying? That and Damon had to fight his way to get his number one contendership back in a high-profile match against Bruce Wayans.
Well, look at Bruce Wayans though. Bruce said if he lost, he quit, and he's still here.
That's on him.
Well, it's on Dean too. Dean needs to enforce these things. So Dean's got his mind preoccupied right now. He had the cluster of a tag team division thing that was happening. People are missing. We still don't know where Owen Easton is. Lucas is poor Lucas. I mean, he's had a lot going on. Dean has.
And the only reason why I bring it up is because right after Never Broken, I think it was the first charge afterwards, is when Dean made the announcement that besides the whole, if you get disqualified, you lose the championship and all that stuff, you cannot challenge for any championship. You have to work your way back from the bottom. There is no rematches. And we've seen 2 so far. I'm concerned.
You know what? Sometimes it's the lesser of two evils, because you're either going to have a two very angry people at each other, or you're going to have a very angry person walking around that locker room angry at everything. So maybe just for peace in the locker room, Dean is just like, okay, whatever. You guys want to beat each other up? At least you're beating each other up and not everybody.
Well, at the same time, he can also take, Sledge specifically, can also take his anger out on the locker room in the middle of the ring for a match to compete for a number 1 contendership.
That is true.
So, I don't know.
But if you have the other part of the party interfering in that match, and then to get back at it, Sledge interferes whenever Drake's out there. I mean,
I'm not trying to be too hard on Dean.
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to say it might be the healthiest thing in the world for these two guys to have rematches right now.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. We'll see if Drake decides to pull anything else. If he does, he loses the championship. So I guess we'll see what happens. If it's a repeat of Never Broken. Speaking of championships again, however, we don't know where Sledge is, obviously, and we'll bring that up towards the end of the show with the image that we saw. But the Charge Championship is now going to be contested at Peak of the Pack, as far as I know, and it's going to be CBD versus Remy D. Now, CBD made the challenge, obviously. What are your thoughts on CBD versus Remy at Peak of the Pack? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see CBD versus Remy D on the card here?
Trap match for Remy D. This is a match that Remy should handle pretty well. From what we've seen from Remy over the past year, Remy's been pretty much unbeatable. Fought through many things, being jumped, getting the equipment stolen, gear stolen, and always fighting back and always coming through. This is one of those matches where if you look at CBD and you just look at the megaphone and the loud mouth, you're going to get beat because he can compete in the ring at a top level as well from what we've seen. If he comes out serious and he wants that gold, Remy's in for a fight. While I am picking Remy, I do not count out CBD. But I think Remy will become prepared, and I think CBD may have just talked his way into even more trouble, because we know what happens when you light a fire under Remy. You get the best possible version of the Beauty and the Beast.
Or did he talk his way into a possible opportunity to become something big in Rocky Mountain Pro.
You can't make the shot if you don't shoot.
He shot a shot. Let's see what happens. And don't forget, we have the Ignition champion, Zamore, out in the background.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened with Sky Hossman when he was Ignition champion. He cashed in his championship to have a shot at the Charge championship. So
yeah, you look at Zamora right now. He just sits there and he waits and he sees Remy's on a roll right now, and Zamora's got the best of both worlds. He's like, yeah, I'm Ignition champion. I just hang out down here. Life is good. And then as soon as he sees if CBD wins that, does he cash that title and then just immediately go for the Charge title?
Or if he sees Remy having a hard time with CBD and maybe just barely squeaks one out here at Peak of the Pack, Zamora might go, he must be exhausted. Let me hop on this opportunity here. I am the champ and all. You know what I mean? So, who knows? Coming up next here, very interesting stipulation here. MMA rules in this matchup between Sky Hossman and the up-and-coming rising star in Rocky Mountain Pro, at least from the looks of it, and what we see over in chat every single time Craig Fairley comes out. In Craig Fairley.
Absolutely. Sky Hossman, with all due respect, bit off a lot more than he could chew in this. I mean, you could tell right from the beginning that Craig Fairley was ready. He had been training. This is his background. And Sky, I understand you're a fighter. You know how to grapple. It used to be your forte. Craig Fairley is a different breed of human being and fighter. We see that right from the beginning where he almost kicks Sky's thigh through his chest, right up through with that leg kick. I mean, it was brutal from the beginning, and Sky looked like he was just a step behind. I think the quickness ate him up here, and we see he gets very, very desperate. And near it, he low blows Craig Fairley, which, if for everyone who's asking, because I talked with Johnny before about this, why wasn't it an immediate disqualification? Referee Spicer goes to ring the bell, and you notice Craig Fairley grabs him and tells him not to. Craig Fairley did not want to win this match via DQ. He wanted to win this match in a fight, and that is exactly what he does. He eats two huge neck breakers while trying to recover from this low blow, which I didn't think those were legal in MMA.
I don't think they are, but then again, it really all depends on what you could do once you get a guy up in the air. So
right, I mean, and Fairley, again, he had asked for a no DQ, so Spicer may have been honoring that. But we see exactly what Craig Fairley does here. He did it to Sledge in the tournament, and he did it again here. That flash knee, and Sky Hossman was in first class on his own airplane in his mind while he looked up count and gets the three, or they ended.
He was knocked out. He was knocked out.
He could have counted to 100, 3, 4, 5, 100. I mean, that flash knee that Fairley uses is incredible. Just another day in the office for Craig Fairley. Big win over a former champion. I was upset to see the orange in the wheelchair outside, a little upset. You know, I thought he might stand up and applaud the wonderful thing that Craig Fairley did, but no, Preston doesn't. He was very upset, and he had a match to get ready for in the next part too. But I got to say, Lola was out there too, and she didn't look too impressed, but who knows? The law office is in shambles right now, Johnny. But Craig is working his way back up. And I think when Sledge is done with David Drake, I think we're going to see somebody renew some hostilities with the psychopath.
You think so?
I hope so. I think Craig Fairley
He's been the only one to stick it to Drake as of right now. I mean, Sledge probably could have if he didn't get hit with the pipe. But at the same time, like, Craig Fairley has been the only one that has shown David Drake any type of I guess, competitive edge.
I don't know if I go competitive, but what is scary is you look at guys that he's faced, Sledge, Bruce Wayans, guys David Drake has faced, and they all have that air of caution when they step in. They all kind of take a minute, look Drake over, try and figure out what's going on. You look at that match that Fairley had with Drake. He gets in the ring and he tells him to come at him.
It's the MMA mindset, man.
Absolute zero fear in Craig Fairley, and I think that's what makes him the scariest person on the RMP roster right now.
He has every right to be, He's a black belt on top of everything else. I mean, he had an MMA career before wrestling. He's proven that he's one of the toughest son of a bitches in Rocky Mountain Pro, to be
He
completely
absolutely
honest.
in my eyes this year. What a rookie year he's had.
I mean, to come up and he knocked out Sledge, too.
Same knee.
Cold. He has it.
Knee to face.
He is definitely going to be a rising star. I mean, we talk about the people over the past couple years. You know, we saw the rise of David Drake per se ever since he changed, and now he's Rocky Mountain Pro Champion. We saw the rise of Remy D. We're starting to see the rise of Lilith Grimm and Balaam Lynx and Echo. We're starting to see a lot of these guys becoming rising top stars, and not just Rocky Mountain Pro, but in wrestling in general. We won't even talk about all the AEW debuts that has happened over the past couple months with some of these guys over at Rocky Mountain Pro. Craig Fairley is going to be another one of those guys. I'm telling you, mark my words. Within another year or so, you're probably going to see him on the marquee of Milestone in some way, shape, or form. Hell, if he keeps on going, who knows what happens at this Milestone?
Right. Who knows what happens at the peak of the pack?
It's definitely fun to watch, Craig. For sure.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely fun to watch like Isla beat JK Pop in a tag team title match again.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I was worried in the beginning. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah?
I was. I mean, did you see JK Pop come right out and they isolated Echo and just started working him over?
Yeah.
I mean, they cut the ring in half. I was worried that they were going to figure it out, and they really, really, really. This is the JK Pop that we come to expect.
This is the JK Pop that we knew before everything happened.
None of the stupid cheating, none of the backhand, it's just straight up tag team wrestling. And tell you, when they're on, there is nobody better than them at cutting the ring in half, isolation, and working as a team. And I'll tell you what, the two Kaiju Busters they hit, I thought it was over. And I'll tell you what, if Balaam isn't near that rope, it is over. And they're champs again. Honestly, I got to give them that. It was incredible, but props to La Isla, the heart on those two guys, the way they battled, the never say die attitude they have. They absolutely, if you thought it may have been a fluke that they won those titles off JK Pop to begin with this, no. They earned them. They are the champs. They beat them again. It's over. La Isla is your champs. JK Pop, back of the bus.
And it's about time. They've had one hell of a reign. It's time to start from the bottom and work your way back up. Will I see them?
And you know what? The way they look tonight, it won't take them long.
It's not going to take. Yeah, I was just about to say, if they do what they did tonight, it's not going to be long before they end up in that number one contendership spot anyway.
But here's my thing, Dean, and we've talked a lot about Dean tonight. Dean said this was it. That there's no more chance. So does that mean JK Pop can't be the number one contender?
I think they can. I don't know if that stipulation has to do with La Isla as champs. If La Isla are champs, maybe JK Pop can't. But what if, let's just say, Gino and Buff Brett Shea, or Brett Buff Shea, whatever his name is.
The guy who stole Nathan Estrada's spot.
Brett Buff Shea. If they win the titles at Peak of the Pack, maybe that's when JK Pop can not automatically, but will have a shot to work their way up and become number one contenders again.
Dean's got a lot of paperwork to do.
Yeah. A lot of clarifying, and really, I think maybe needs to make a statement or two about what's been going on. Kind of let the air settle a little bit. Bring some ease back to the locker room and the RMP faithful.
It's very high tension right now every time I watch Rocky Mountain Pro. I'm on the edge of my seat, but it's very high tension. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of confusion, too. A lot of confusion. But you know what? it's part of the business, I guess. You know what I mean? Shit happens. And
plans change, pal.
exactly, and he's the president, and he has to make tough decisions, and sometimes they work out for the best, and sometimes they don't. So, do I think Dean needs to explain himself a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, are they like detrimental uh decisions? Not so much. But
No,
they
I mean, you look at your starting lineup. They got put into that tag tournament. They got their backs against the wall, and now look at them. They're on a roll. It actually helped elevate them being put in that situation. So not all of the decisions have been detrimental, and I don't think honestly any of them have been. I mean, I actually like the no rematch rule. It gets some fresh stuff in there. We get to see some fresh matchups. Do I think that Sledge and David Drake would be another great match to see? I absolutely do. But I think you got to put something in there this time that it's got to be last man standing. It's got to be no holds barred. It's got to be extreme rules, something. You have to have a way for these two guys just to get it out of their system. And traditional wrestling matches aren't doing that.
well, as far as I know, it's Sledge and David Drake as of now in a traditional match. Which now leaves Sin Bodhi. Where does Sin Bodhi go in this situation? He was confronting Sledge before all that happened.
Yeah, I mean, Drake kind of jumped the line there. I mean, we had some unfinished sledgehammer and clown business going on. That I wonder if we see Sin poke his big red nose into things. I don't know.
I mean, that kind of leaves Sin all by himself here. So
I don't think he minds that.
well, I don't think Sin's afraid of anybody. I think besides Craig Fairley, I think there are only a few people in Rocky Mountain Pro that probably wouldn't be terrified of David Drake right now.
I don't think much scares Sin Bodhi.
I mean, yeah, he's the
I
warlord
really-
of weird.
Yeah, I don't think many things scare him.
I mean, he's a scary dude in his own right.
Maybe Monster Nine's cooking, but other than that, yeah,
Maybe
I think.
Monster Nine's cookie. He makes candy,
You met-
man. He makes
Yeah, but can
homemade
you imagine
candy.
what dinner? You imagine what dinner's like under the big top?
I don't know. We might have to ask Rhea Rabbit or Mr. Happy one of these days.
Oh, I'm sure the next time we go out, they invite the dudes to the big top. I mean, you guys have a wonderful time if that happens.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful time.
And of
You
course,
You could FaceTime me and just put me in a chair.
oh, perfect. Actually, that's not a bad idea. And of course, we end tonight with the image of Sledge once again face to the ground, knocked out, with David Drake on top of it. Looks like a truck or a van or whatever. Nowhere, really parts unknown at this point. We don't know where they are.
I'm pretty sure that Drake lives in that. I think he just lives in that trailer. And I don't know where it is. It maybe Owen Easton's around there. Maybe Lucas knows where it is. If someone can decipher what he says. This is getting to be very, very eerie. Every week we see David Drake in a new place causing new forms of terror to people. And somebody's got to get a handle on it. Dean, again, we're talking about Dean, but Dean has got to get a handle on this because this is now the fourth member of the RMP roster we've seen tied up, kidnapped, and, have this done to them by Drake. This is going beyond the ring right now.
But for Sledge, this is like the fourth time.
I know. Which, is it scarier that Drake keeps doing it or that Sledge just keeps coming?
I don't know. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think anymore. Honestly, seeing Sledge be knocked out cold, face first in the ground, multiple times during this whole thing. Who is this guy? Who is Drake really?
I don't know if we want to know.
Is he possessed?
I think it goes beyond possession. I think it's obsession. No, I think it's obsession. I think it's just obsession with showing people that you are indestructible and invincible. And if you've noticed, since the match with Craig Fairley where he was limping and bleeding, he has been more vicious, if that was possible.
So you're saying that Craig Fairley basically brought out this Drake after their match at Aces Wild.
I'm saying that Drake was a wounded animal, and it made him even more aggressive and dangerous.
That actually not a bad observation, because you're right. Ever since Craig Fairley did a number on Drake, which he did, I mean, that was the first time we ever saw Drake look anything like a defeated man.
He looked human for a few minutes.
He did. He looked mortal, basically. And ever since then, I mean, this is a whole new Drake from a couple months ago. Literally.
I don't think he's even letting people entertain the thought they can hurt him anymore.
I mean, we thought Drake was crazy before.
Oh, he's certifiable now. Absolutely.
It's with a stamp on it.
Mm-hmm. If the men in the white coats feel froggy, come tell them to jump and take him, but you better bring 15 of them.
Yeah. Where's Salem and the orderlies to kind of help out that situation?
Oh, I think even the orderlies look at Salem and be like, you got this? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
You talk to him. You talk to him.
All right.
Maybe not. Could you imagine Drake and Salem having coffee together? That'd be a weird conversation.
That would be a conversation of destruction. What are you talking about? I don't know. But that was the last image of Charge tonight. Your final thoughts on this episode?
This episode is more of what we've seen before. It is more of ever since, never broken. It's been building and building and building. The pot is boiling. There are many different ingredients in this pot. We got Damon, we got Yaden, Drake, Sledge. The circus is in there with Sledge and Sin Bodhi. We have the continuation of Manny Lemons and Cash Flow. The pot is getting ready to boil over, and it is going to boil over at Peak of the Pack. But it is also going to simmer for Milestone, and it is going to be the most wonderful dish you've ever eaten when it all comes to fruition.
I'm sure a lot of people can't wait for Milestone. That's only a few months away, but first we got to get through Peak of the Pack, which is April 28th, folks. Mark it down.
You like
on
how
your
I worked
calendar.
the food and belts thing in there? I did food. Yeah.
Actually, we actually need to talk about Sunday, because I didn't realize that Sunday was a holiday. So we actually got to get together about that. But anyways, yes, foods and belts, our favorite topic on this show besides wrestling.
Oh, I thought you meant this past Sunday. This past Sunday was a holiday. It's WrestleMania. That's a holiday.
Okay, so then we have back-to-back holidays. I don't know. Whatever.
Right.
April 28th.
Stone Cold Steve Easter Bunny.
April 28th, Peak of the Pack, ladies and gentlemen. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at the Wimmer Arena. There's a lot that's going to happen. There hasn't been talks about the actual Peak of the Pack match. As far as I know, I think they're still doing the match. I haven't heard anything otherwise.
They're gonna need to with all this stuff going on. It might be the easiest way to figure out who gets the next shot at Drake.
It's true, and that's how they've decided, at least over the past couple of years, or few years, I should say, is the winner of that match ends up facing the R&B champion at Milestone. They're the main event. So we'll see what happens. We'll probably hear a little bit more come Thursday or in the next few episodes of Charge. But all that I know is that we have Peak of the Pack. It is the last pay-per-view before the biggest event of the year for Rocky Mountain Pro, which is Milestone 13, which is also going to be at the Wimmer Arena on June 1st. Mark that in your calendars. I know we have a lot of people in chat, a lot of RMP faithful take these few days off out of the year to travel down to the Wimmer Arena to watch Milestone 13. So there is your date for anybody who plans on traveling. It is going to be June 1st, probably around the same time, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at the Wimmer Arena. And make sure you get your plane tickets and your hotels booked. Also, one other thing to bring up, actually a couple things. Beer Start and Ramiro's is happening this weekend. If you're in the Denver area, Bierstadt on Friday. Ramiro's for the first time this year in 2023 will be this Saturday. I believe both times are 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I think Mr. Fourth Row is in chat, so he will probably correct me on times on that. But I believe they do have those two shows this weekend. And I think that's it in terms of Rocky Mountain Pro and Rocky Mountain Pro live shows that are coming. However, I do want to bring up, before we leave, our membership-only live stream that we're doing this month. As you guys all know, last month we did the Ignition Champion Zamore. And I know the quality of this picture is not the best, but we don't really have a lot of good pictures of members of the Asylum as of right now, in terms of quality-wise. But we will have Noel on April 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Here on YouTube, members only chat, so you got to be a supporter of Rocky Mountain Pro to be able to chat and interact with a member of the Asylum and Coastal. I don't know how you're feeling about this upcoming membership only stream. What are your thoughts, especially after seeing what happened tonight with Noelle?
I'm glad I'm very far away, and she can't hit me with a tire iron. And it's going to be very much different than we were there in June and talked to Noelle. And this is very different. And I'm not asking the first question. It didn't go well with Ronan. It doesn't go well when I ask the first question. Somebody else asked the first question.
Well, let me mark that in my notes. We will put that up to Triple I to ask the first question of the evening.
Won't be there. Well, he might be. Bowling's over by then.
That's pretty close. Yeah.
I got 2 weeks and I'll be back on Thursdays.
Yeah, you'll be seeing Coastal on Ignition with Marky and myself. Mr. Fourth Row says, yes, but Colorado is in daylight time. I heard talk of food. Lady Catherine already jumping on the food wagon here.
I think we need a Rocky Mountain Pro Wrestling cookbook.
I thought that was brought up not too long ago. I thought somebody was making one. I'm not even kidding. Maybe it got put on the back burner, but I heard somebody come up with the idea of making one.
I think it's a good idea.
I agree. That would be a top seller here, I'm telling you. People want some of that RMP cooking, man. We're working on it. It fizzled. So it was brought up. All right, I wasn't losing my mind there. I thought I heard somebody trying or coming up with the idea to do it.
You could have the Curtis cold cut combo.
What does that entail?
It's a sandwich, but you have to bitch, piss, and moan while you eat it. Nobody likes me. Everyone's mean to me.
All right. We're not going to get into food talks tonight. We actually got to get ourselves off. Whoa. I will admit that. Thank God we're not on Twitch. There's no clip button. But yes, I definitely will own that one. I didn't finish the last word of that sentence. As you guys all know, phrasing has definitely been a situation here on this show.
Wait till Marky hears that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got to show you the one that he did pre-recording last weekend's show. Oh, okay. It was just as bad. I'm not gonna lie. But and maybe at some point down the line we'll show that to everybody in the RMP faithful. But I can tell you right now, it'd be definitely borderline of TOS here on YouTube. So, although that right there was basically borderline TOS to begin with, so I will own that. But
that was a good one.
It was a very good one. But we actually have to get off so that we can all go to bed. So there you go. That's what I wanted to say.
We all got busy mornings.
and I got to get up in like 4 hours to go to work. So we all have lives outside of wrestling here, and I'm definitely one of those guys that work
They're not as
stupid
much
hours.
fun, but we have them.
Work stupid hours during the week. But yes, we will be back here on Thursday. I don't think I'm going to have to pre-record anything this week. I think we should be all set. There will be a live show of Reignited this Thursday, immediately after Rocky Mountain Pro Ignition at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or Mountain Daylight Time. I know I'm going to get flack from Mr. Fourth Row about not saying daylight. It's daylight time. And we'll go from there. We will also let you guys know what's going to happen on Sunday, because this Sunday is Easter Sunday, and I don't know what these guys are going to be doing or what I'm doing, as a matter of fact. So we're going to talk about it amongst ourselves and figure out plan of action for Sunday. If we don't have a Sunday show, then the next show will be the membership-only stream with Noel. So that's what we got on the docket. So for that, before I get myself in any more TOS trouble, or if there's any more phrasing issues that we're going to have on this show, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate every single one of you guys, the RMP faithful. Without you, this wouldn't be a thing. And as always, folks, from myself, Johnny Deathdrop, and Coastal Crusader here, we will see you guys on Thursday for another episode of Dudes and Belts Reignited. As always, stay safe, stay classy, and we'll see you on the next one.